Hey there, and it's 7 p.m. on a Tuesday evening. And good evening, everybody. I hope you've had an amazing day. I'm feeling very relaxed tonight, and it's because I'm talking to you about my absolutely favorite two subjects. So I want to just have a little bit of fun with this tonight. No script as usual. It's just me, my paintings, and the dog whining at the door, wanting to come in. So tonight, I want to share some insights and some top tips for you on leadership and creativity. And I want to discuss how the two things are intrinsically connected. They're almost like twins. So I'll start by introducing myself to anybody who doesn't know me and giving you the rules of the game. So I'm Mandy Nicholson, creative genius consultant, and I'm here tonight to talk about leadership and creativity. I help innovative female entrepreneurs to launch, grow, and scale their creative business and make more money. That's my job. And in that job, it's really important for me to be a leader. When you're watching tonight, if you're watching live, hashtag live. If you're watching on replay, please hashtag replay and ask me any questions. I would love questions on this subject because it's an area that sometimes you never step into at all. It's an area that sometimes takes time to step into, and it's an area that is very, very misunderstood. How do I know this? So I started life, as most of you know that have been following me, as just a creative. I trotted off to art college to get my art degree and had my rose-coloured glasses on, thinking that I would end up doing what I loved my entire working career. How wrong was I? I could not get a job in the creative space after I left uni, and I ended up working in the retail sector. Now, don't get me wrong, I absolutely loved my job. And I think I had to go and do that in order to learn how to become a great leader. And what I learned over those years was so interesting because I almost made it a game and an experiment to see if I could survive in this world that was not set out and destined for me. And this is how we all enter anything. So I want to just align it with that, in that none of us really knows anything. We book study through A levels and university, and we might gain some insight into our particular subject area and come out, be pushed out the other end of uni with a whole lot more knowledge than we went in. But we still don't really have life skills. And we've still got a hell of a lot to learn. In fact, I'm 55 and I've still got a hell of a lot to learn. And I think it's that attitude that actually creates the open-mindedness to become not only a creative, but also a creative leader. Not everybody is creative. I hear this so often. I can't do that. I can't draw. I can't do anything creative. Well, do you know what? You were born creative. 98% of children are creative, and it's taught out of them through the schooling and academic systems. So actually, there's 98% of you adults out there that have innate creativity within you, and it manifests in many, many different ways. You also have it in you to be a leader. And some of you may not even be able to see this or associate the two as one. So I'm going to give you some insights, and these are Mandy insights. Yeah, I have been studying leadership and creativity my entire life on the planet. I've been touching on one or both of those subjects throughout it. And I want to share for you tonight how those two are melted together so well. Okay, so let's hit it, shall we? Let's start with leadership. Because, and I want you to understand leadership. Leadership is about leading the way. It's about creating vision of where you want to go. So the moment you become the leader in your life and accept responsibility that you are absolutely 100% responsible for everything you do for your entire life, you become a leader. When you say, yes, it's all down to me, the book stops with me, everything's my fault, everything's my responsibility, you are then a leader in your life. That's the moment that you lead. Because when you take responsibility, you can take others with you, but the book stops with you. I've simplified it to that. When you become the leader in your life, it enables you to be able to see different situations in different ways. Okay? So you start to view things very much differently when you can start to take 100% responsibility for your life. Because if you move into business, you can do the same there. Leadership. So that's leadership, okay? That's sitting on that hand currently. Creativity, on the other hand, is the ability to think creatively, think differently. And creative people are usually more right-brained. Right-brained people are able to be more creative than purely left-brained people. But remember, let's go back to my stats. 98% of us as children were creative. There's very few purely left-brainers out there. So creativity, which hand was it now? Creativity is in all of us, innately in all of us. And it's our ability to think in a solution-based way and create patterns, pictures, pathways, and strategies for where we want things to, for how we want things to unfold. So for instance, the artist wants to communicate a message with passion and with depth and with knowledge. The writer wants to bring you into the story and get you to really care about the characters in their story, or they want you to care about the plot line, or they want you to care about what they're trying to teach you. That's creative. It's creative to work out a routine in your household that includes everything getting done. So here's what I find. Many, many women are really creative, and many, many women are also really great leaders. And so many women don't see these as skills that they innately have from the things that they do all of the time. Creativity, the ability to communicate in a way that allows others to see what you want and the message that you are trying to portray. Leadership, the ability to create a vision of where you want people to go with you in order to make a better world, a better place, a better business. So let's look at some great leaders. And I've done zero preparation for this, guys, because this is a topic I could talk about for hours, but I promise I won't be still on here at midnight. We can pluck any great leaders out from our history. So let's take, for instance, Martin Luther King. He was a great leader because he was a great orator. He was somebody who could stir up a crowd of people to really understand the cause that he was fighting and to get them on board and to get them to come with him. That's and actually, guess what? Being a great orator means you're a great writer because you're writing your scripts or you're writing your words or you're able to create them from nothing. It means you are innately a creative. So creativity and leadership. Martin Luther King also was able to get people to get behind a cause that was almost a cause where it was inevitably going to fail because the general population of the United States did not want that sort of change. He was a brave man, a creator, and a leader. And all week this week on my posts on all of my platforms, I am talking and giving examples of great leadership, because great leadership comes in from great things like Martin Luther King, but it also comes from the everyday mundane routines of teaching your children how to be their best selves, encouraging them to get into routines, encouraging them to communicate well with others, encouraging all of their skills instead of only some of their academic skills. Great leadership comes from the small things that we do in life and the great things we do for the greater good. Creativity comes from the same place. So leadership and creativity. So how does this help you in business? When you acknowledge the skills that you currently have, the creative skills and the leadership skills that you currently have, and recognize them in yourself, you can start to develop those skills and you can start to put them to use and to work for you to see improvements in your life and in your business. Now, I used to write for a leadership magazine in the States many years ago, and I had 5 articles published in that magazine. And my articles were published right next to the stuffy corporate leadership articles. So I'm going to tell you that. So the magazine would be full of these corporate, how to do this in the corporate world articles, and there would be mine. And my article on leadership, I used to use analogies like the Wizard of Oz and, you know, how it feels sometimes to be a leader who has the full responsibility of everything and the weight of everything on their shoulders. And sometimes you just want to make 3 clicks of your red shoes and get yourself out of there. Now that goes whether you have a multi-million-dollar business or whether you've got a small little business with only you and a couple of other people that are running it. Leadership brings with it great responsibility, as does creativity. So what are the best things that you can do when you are learning to become a leader? And I'm going to give you a few hacks that you can adopt to become a great leader. And the first one is learning to accept responsibility for everything in your life. The moment that you can sit down and accept full responsibility for everything that has happened to you to date and that will happen to you going forward and say, everything is down to me. Everything is down to me. Everything that's happened to me was about the choices that I made, the direction I chose to go in, the actions that I took and the people I chose to interact with. Everything you did to date was a choice, whether it was to take those drugs, drink that alcohol, marry that idiot, be unfaithful to that idiot, mistreat a friend. All of those were actions that you chose, whether you like to admit it or not. So great leadership starts with accepting full responsibility for everything that has come to date and every decision that you are going to make going forward, which is hard. It's a really hard thing to do. But if you can work on that, and this is step 1 for being a great creative leader, accepting responsibility for everything that you do. If you're overweight, for all the food that you've put in your mouth. If you drink too much, for all the alcohol that you drink. If you smoke, for lighting up the next cigarette. Yeah. If you have been dishonest, for your own dishonesty. Whatever it is, you made that choice. And the moment you can accept responsibility for that and say, yeah, boss, it was me. Do you know what? I made a mistake and I'm going to move it forward in a different way and I'll never do that again. Remembering you're the boss. That's step 1 of becoming a great leader. Great leaders don't blame. Great leaders take responsibility, sometimes even when it's not their fault. Sometimes when it's the fault of somebody in the team, great leaders will still take full responsibility for everything that happens. And I've done that myself. It's not taking one for the team. You are the team. Everything is your responsibility, whether that's in your family, whether that's in your friendship group, whether it's in your business, whether it's in your place of work. 100% responsibility is step 1. And step 2 to becoming a great leader and being creative with it is great communication. Even bad communication is better than no communication. Even delivering bad news is better than ignoring the problem. Great leaders are great communicators, and great creative leaders come up with brilliant creative ways of communicating with their family members, with their teams, with their colleagues. So if you're going to take the lead in your life, here's an activity you can do. Sit round the table with your family and have a really frank conversation about the things that you've done wrong, because you're taking responsibility for everything, and how you want things to move forward for the next 6 months in your family, and create a vision for the people sitting around that table. Allocate tasks and say, it would really help me if you could perhaps put the rubbish out on a Tuesday, and if you could do the pots. Allocate tasks, give people responsibilities, then check up on them, catch them doing it right and say, well done. Catch them doing it well and acknowledge that, instead of complaining that they haven't done it. Try that as an activity from tonight to see how much that changes the behavior of the people that are around you. Try it as a small experiment on your family. If you're feeling overstressed, overworked, and like you can't cope with things, sitting down with people and communicating calmly and saying, look, guys, we're a family, we're a team. I need your help. Here's what I need help with. Who can help me and how can you do it? Is an amazing ability as a leader and as a creative. And then come up with creative ways to check on it. Yeah. If somebody says, yeah, I'll help you by doing that, you go, how often could you do that for me? And really start to pin people down to taking responsibility. But remember, you're the leader and the accountability sits with you. You're just delegating responsibility. Your job then becomes somebody to make sure that you hold these people accountable for whatever they've said they're going to do. So if little Johnny says, yeah, I'm going to wash the pots on a Tuesday and Thursday, you hold Johnny accountable for doing that. And then you give him praise for doing a really good job. And you tell him that that's made you feel much better and that you're really proud of him. Johnny's going to do it all the time because you've made him feel good. Now take that to work with you. Take that into your business or to your job and do the same thing. Sit with your team and communicate to them at that level, saying, okay, this is everything that needs to be done. Where are the skills? Who can take on the responsibilities? And how can you do it? And get your team to buy into the vision, to take on responsibilities and relieve you of them. But your job then as the leader is to check, A, they're doing it, and B, find them doing it well and give them praise. And this is where creativity and leadership marks. So you've got number one, taking full responsibility for everything in your life, everything in your business. Number two, becoming a great communicator and delegating and holding that responsibility right at your soul's and your heart and saying, I'm going to live this way. Because when you become consistent in doing that in life, it's very easy to take it into your business and then to really build your business. Because great leaders look to scale. Great leaders look to delegate and grow the business through the people that are in it, as do great families. So wherever you're at right now, whether it's right at the bottom of this ladder, these are the two things that you need to start with. Taking responsibility, great communication. So what comes next? What comes next is linked to the first two. Great leaders will always look for the path of least resistance. The most simple and most productive way to achieve the goals that you have. Not complicated, not over wordy, not involving too many people and too many tasks, but the path of least resistance. How can I get from A to B in the most simple way possible? That's what a great leader will do. And that's what a creative does too. How do I get from A to B and get the best possible result without it being too complex and too difficult? You will find that most creatives, and I'm one of those, as well as a leader, will decide on a project and just go ahead and do it and just take the simplest route. I've made big decisions about a painting based on what's over complex and what's straightforward, when to leave it and when to keep working at it, when to walk away from it and when to keep reworking it. I've done the same with teams, when to leave it alone when it's working okay, when to look for the opportunity to up level it and scale it, when to intervene, when to praise. So that's kind of how you start to fit into becoming a leader. Taking responsibility, great communication, and following the path of least resistance. There is always a simple way to achieve the things that you want to achieve. And task 4, and this is huge for you guys, is creating vision. Knowing exactly where you're going. So this is what great leaders and great creatives do really, really well. And I want you to think about this again in some detail. An artist stands before a blank canvas. And in their head is their composition, their design, their message that they want to communicate with the person that's going to be viewing that canvas when it's finished. The artist stands there in front of this blank canvas with their idea, and they start to think about how it's going to fit, where it's going to go, which bits are going to be done first, which bits are going to be done last. But ultimately, the artist knows in their mind what it's going to look like at the end. They know the feelings it's going to emote. They know the color palette that they are going to use. They know the medium that they are going to use to create the piece. And it's exactly the same for leaders, creating vision. So your business starts off as a small business, but you know where you want it to go. Therefore, you take the actions. That's the dog throwing himself at the door, guys, real life. So great leaders, where was I talking about? They know where they want to go. So I'm going to use an example here. I've talked about painting. Yeah. So I knew when I created the painting behind me there, I always get the wrong way, Let Her Rise. I knew what I wanted to do with that painting. I knew the colors that I wanted to use. I knew the message that I wanted to get through to my viewers of that painting. I knew how I wanted the woman in the painting to look and feel. I knew the color palette for that. I knew exactly what that was going to look like. And it's the same when I stepped into my job as a store manager. So my it's funny because I was talking about this today. This is why I decided to use it. My very first store as a store manager was Berwick-upon-Tweed, and it was Gateway then. Or was it Seoul? It was Gateway, let's call it. It was Gateway. It morphed through so many different changes. And I walked into that store, and I'd been given that store as a token as a female manager because there were so few of us in the company when I joined. And they gave me this 14,000 square foot store, which is quite big. It's a big supermarket. It's not a giant one like Tesco, but it's a big supermarket. And I was given this store as a token. It was underperforming. It was doing £30,000 a week out of 14,000 square foot, which is really rubbish. Believe me, it's really rubbish. I've run stores since that were doing £1 million a week. And, so it was nothing. But it was mine. And it was my first store. So I knew inherently as a creative, I needed to know where I was going to take that business. So I got the team together and I created a vision of what the store could be and could look like and how we needed to work together as a team. And I spent time individually with each team member, getting to know them. I looked at the operation of the store, where the biggest problems were, where I needed to troubleshoot, where I needed to leave it alone. But ultimately, I developed this team and created this picture of where we were going and what it would feel like. And anybody that's watching that worked for me in Summerfield will know this, and I'm sure that they will absolutely 100% agree with this when I say launch day standards. Because launch day standards are the best standards that you get in any shop when they open. The first day that they open the door, the store is perfect. It's clean. Everybody's in smart uniform. Everybody looks the part. It's immaculate. There's no gaps on the shelves. Everything has the right ticketing. All the promotions are in the right place. Launch day standards. That was the picture that I created for my team in that first store. We are going to achieve every single day launch day standards. Then I took them out and put them in a car, and we went to visit stores on launch day. So I put them in the situation where they could feel what it felt like to walk around a store that had launch day standards, how proud they would feel in their store when it looked like that, and how successful they would be in their careers, because when your store looks like that, you're going to be more successful in sales. So I went in as the leader and I created vision and I got the team on board. And a year later, that store was no longer taking £30,000. And there was a lot more to it than that, but it was taking £120,000 a week. And it was the most successful store in the company on sales year on year. And at one point, the store was up 376% year on year. Never been done before. Don't know whether it's ever been done again. Well, it hasn't, because the company no longer exists. It's now the co-op. But for me, it was about creating in those people the desire to want what I wanted at the same level that I wanted it for them, because I didn't make them any promises. I just said, how good are you going to feel when your shop looks like this and you've secured your jobs in the long term and created opportunities for promotions and progression. It was about creating a picture of the whole thing. So great leaders create great vision, as great artists create great vision, whether it's on canvas, whether it's on paper, whether it's in a ceramic or a glass sculpture or a bronze sculpture, or whether it's an abstract piece of something. It's still about creating vision. It's about driving for change. It's about bringing your audience in to what you're doing and bringing your team in with you. So if you're in a small business, you're a leader, whether there's you and one other. You're a leader in your own vision of where you're going, and the platforms that you will use, the suppliers that you will use, the customers and clientele that you will interact with. You're a leader in all of that, but you're also a creative. You're creating your own narrative. You're creating your own vision for the future of your life, your business, and how it's going to go. When you can step into the creative leader role, you are setting yourself up for success. And success comes from the lots and lots of small things that I have just talked to you about during this live. Success comes from taking full responsibility for everything. Success comes from being a great communicator at all levels with everybody in your life and in your business. Success comes from creating the vision and the goals of where you want to go. Success comes from all those places, but it comes from all the small things that you do, and it starts with you. It starts with you as a person and how you develop yourself through your blockages, your limiting beliefs, your mindset, your restrictions, whatever you want to call them. When you move past things like that in your life, you are becoming a leader in your life. When you can lead your life, you can lead anything else. You can be really successful. You can be all that you can imagine. Do you remember when you were little, when you were a child, and you had big dreams of what you were going to be when you grew up? Massive dreams. You could create that picture in your head. You might not be able to remember it, but I'm telling you now, you could create a picture in your head. You probably got your crayons out and drew it. Maybe not very well, but you did, and you understood what was in that picture. That was you creating a vision for your future. What happened was you were told, you can't do that. No, you can't. Don't be silly. You can't do that. You'll never make any money doing that. That's not what you want to be doing with your life. And all of those outside influences got into your head and stopped you doing what was on that piece of paper when you were a little kid. Many people do follow what they think are their dreams. Many people follow what are their parents' dreams. Many people fall off the wagon and just don't have vision or dreams. But tonight, I wanted to give you the very basic steps that you can take to becoming a great leader. Now, if you want to learn more about that, do what I've done for the last 50 years, since I was a 5-year-old, because I'm 55, guys. I have been a lifelong learner all that time. I have read leadership books on every great leader. I've studied them. I've studied their theories, their work, their successes, their failures, and there's a common thread. There's a common thread that goes through, and it's a thread that goes through life, and it's a thread that I talk to my very best friend about a lot, and I did many years ago, and it's a red thread, and it connects you to everything that is right for you, and it connects you to the people in your life that are supposed to be in it. It connects you to your future. It connects you to your innate power, your creative power, and your possibilities. And when you are really tapped into that red thread, you start to see connections all the time. And great leaders come across this all the time. But when I've studied them, it's the same things that they all do. They are all great communicators. They all take full responsibility for everything. They all back their teams, but train their teams really, really well, and invest time in people, whether that be your family, whether it's your business. Whatever it is, leadership comes from the small things that you do today and the changes that you make in your life. But they start with creating a vision of where you want to go, and creating a vision of who you want to be. Who is it you want to be when you grow up? What do you want people to say about you when you're no longer there? What do you want people to say? I can see it now. Thanks, Wendy. What do you want people to say about you when you walk out of the room? What do you want people to say? Because also, do you know what else great leaders are? They're like Marmite. Because half the room will love them and half the room will hate them, because they are holding people accountable. They are not taking no for an answer. They are forging their way with great vision and great passion, creating the life that they want, creating the painting that they want, creating the business. You were told you were rubbish, Wendy. Yeah. Do you know, so many people are. It's in you from such an early age to be great. Every single one of us have it in us. And so many people are talked out of it. It's there. You're talked out of it by the people. It's the words of others that change the way you see yourself. Because you are innately able to do anything and to be anything. Let's just use Donald Trump as an example, because love him or hate him, he's in the White House because he's a narcissist, but he 100% believes in himself, that he's able to be that person. It does go quite a lot the other way, and many great leaders are actually narcissists. And there is a bit of a narcissistic trait in having 100% faith in yourself. But if you can also be humble, and take responsibility and be kind and to treat people really well on your way up, then when you come down, it's not such a bumpy ride. So thank you for making a comment there, Wendy, and I'm pleased that that's helped you to see it. I never have met a woman yet that I have worked with or I have interacted with that believes they are rubbish because they believe they are rubbish because they believe they were born that way. They believe it because they have been told it by someone who said, you can't do that, you're not good enough. And those few sentences and few words stick in our heads way longer than all the positive stuff that goes on. You know, when you put a brush on a canvas and you make it look beautiful, have you ever said, do you know something? You're really good at that. That looks amazing. When people tell you your work is beautiful, do you believe it or do you disbelieve it? It's what you choose. Choose to listen to everything, not only the small amount of negative mind chatter that goes on implanted by other people. So I'm going to love you and leave you tonight. It was 2 men. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. I'm not going to get into that, but yeah, I understand that. That's about control, and we go back to the narcissist behavior, and that's a whole other live, isn't it? If we talk about narcissistic behavior, sociopaths, they exist amongst us. Many of them are leaders, many of them are partners, and it takes a lot to actually get past that. I'm not going to explore that too much in this live, otherwise I will be here till midnight. But know this, you are amazing. You can be anything. You can lead your life, lead your business, and create anything how you want it to be. So, and I say this most sincerely, and I get this out so many times. Here you go. My Scottish castle on a loch. That's where I'm going. That's what I will be purchasing within the next 5 years. That's where I will be creating my retreats. I know where I'm going. It's very clear to me. I always have. And I've made mistakes along the way. My fault. I made the wrong choices. I can accept responsibility for that. But I choose to create a different future for myself now. And I want you to do the same. Every single one of you that are watching this, I want you to choose a hugely successful future for yourself and become the leader of your life. So have a wonderful evening. It's been lovely speaking to you like it always is every Tuesday. I love coming on here for my Tuesday lives. And I will see you all next week where I have a guest speaker. So for the next few weeks on the Tuesday live, I'm going to have guest speakers talking about different subjects, which means it's really exciting. You get loads of different topics to hear over the next few weeks. So watch out for the advertisements in advance. And I believe next week it's the beautiful and absolutely amazingly intelligent Jen Mansfield, who knows so much about so many things to do with you and how amazing you are. So that should be quite an exciting interview next week. So I'll see you same time, same place, right here and all the platforms that I'm currently on, and have a wonderful week. Bye for now.